Hey y'all, how's it going? You surviving the pandemic? My name is Melissa and welcome to my channel, The Little Fort That Could. If you're new here, I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you'll stick around. I do a lot of mom content mostly. I am a homeschooling mama of 3 kiddos, so a lot of my channel is about homeschooling, but I also have an allergy kiddo. And so a lot of my content is allergy content. And so today I just am doing an impromptu video because I've been getting messages about the pandemic and about school being out and what do I do with my children. So I grabbed a glass of wine and I came outside because it's gorgeous out here. Don't judge me for my pool being a little dirty, and my cushions are still out drying. If you saw my last video, you know about that. But it's just too pretty to not be outside, so I came outside for this. But anyway, if you are panicking because you are suddenly finding yourself at home with your kiddos all day long, stick around and watch this video. First of all, full disclosure, this is my first year as a homeschooler. However, I am a veteran teacher. I taught in both public schools and a private school for a total of 17 years. And so teaching is what I do. It's who I am. And although schooling at home does look a lot different from traditional school, there are a lot of things that are the same. And so for us, I feel like, oops, sorry, I kicked the camera. I feel like I have a little better handle on how to help you folks who are not used to schooling at home, just because I am not a forever homeschooler. And that is not to knock homeschoolers that have only homeschooled their kids, because homeschooling is awesome and I'm a big proponent of it. But what I do think I know a little bit more about since I'm doing it and a lot of homeschoolers aren't, is I am schooling children who have been in the traditional school setting for their whole schooling career. My oldest 2 went to traditional school all the way through 6th grade, and now as 7th graders, they're homeschooling for the first time. So I do think there is a difference between homeschooling kids that are used to traditional school versus homeschooling kids that's all they've ever known. And again, one is not better than the other. They're just different. So I know people are panicking a little bit, and truth be told, if I weren't almost through with my first year homeschooling, if I were still teaching in traditional school with my children in traditional school, I would probably be panicking right now too. So I totally understand that. I feel your pain. But y'all, first of all, just in general, prior to this pandemic, there are so many resources online that are so awesome. A lot of them are free or very low cost. So there's tons of things you can find online. And what's really amazing to me, I've been trying to find things to be thankful for during all this craziness. And one of the things that I'm most thankful for is the amazing creative genius that is coming out of minds and hearts and coming up with these cool things for families to do while they're stuck at home. And it's just amazing to me. So get on social media if you're not, because I'm just telling you, there are a lot of things I hate about social media, but right now the creative ideas on social media about what to do with your family while your kids are at home from school are just so amazing. Like, it kind of gives me, can you see? I have goosebumps just talking about it. Like, it really does give me goosebumps. I think it's amazing that even though we can't be together, that we can come together on social media and we can just share these cool ideas of fun things to do while we're stuck at home. So that's my first tip. Check out social media. So many good ideas. One of my really favorites that I'm super excited about, and this one's last minute, so unless you're watching my video right as soon as I post it, you're gonna miss this one, but my kids are super excited about it. So tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. And so I saw this super neat idea to make shamrocks and then put them in your windows, like in your front windows that face the street. And then if everybody in your neighborhood does it, or several people in your neighborhood do it, then you can go on a walk with your family and go on a hunt for shamrocks. So my 3 kids each colored a shamrock today, and then I let them choose the window and where in the window they wanted to tape their shamrocks. So we have 3. So if you live in our neighborhood, you can get 3 points, 3 shamrock points if you walk past our house tomorrow. And we'll probably leave them up the whole week, because what a neat idea. And so my kids are super excited. We actually have a Facebook group for our neighborhood on Facebook. Redundant much, Melissa? And so I posted the idea on our neighborhood page, and I've already gotten some excited responses from people who want to participate. Some people that don't even have kids, that are just being sweet enough to print out a shamrock and tape it in their windows. So like, you don't even, it doesn't have to be, my kids colored, kind of fancy shamrocks, but it doesn't have to be, just print out a shamrock. You don't have to have kids, print out a shamrock, tape it in a window. The kids in your neighborhood will love it, I promise. But just cool ideas like that. Another one of our one of the things that we're super excited about is the Cincinnati Zoo has committed to doing an animal safari live on their Facebook at 3 o'clock Eastern time, every weekday afternoon. And they started today, and we watched it and we loved it. My daughter wants to be a zookeeper, so she's especially excited about this, but we're all animal people in our family. And so today we watched the first one. It was about Fiona, the baby hippo. And let me tell you something, if you don't know about Fiona, the baby hippo, you need to go Google that right now. She's the cutest thing you've ever seen. She was actually born prematurely, which I think is maybe never happened before to a hippo. And so they had to hand rear her, and then they've since put her back in the enclosure with her mother, and she's big and healthy and doing great. But such a cool story. And we're so excited to tune back in tomorrow afternoon to find out what animal they're gonna teach us about next. So every afternoon during the weekdays, you can have an animal safari live right in your own living room or kitchen or wherever's comfortable for all of you to pile up and watch whatever device you have on Facebook. So I highly recommend going to the Cincinnati Zoo's Facebook page and watching out for that. Again, it's 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every weekday. I don't know how long they're going to do it, but I've been to the Cincinnati Zoo and they have lots of animals, so I imagine they could do it for a while if they're going to highlight every single animal they have at the zoo there. So that's really fun and exciting. So as far as academics, there are like 1,000 things I could tell you. And if you have specific questions like, what can I do for math? What can I do for, my second grader? What can I do for whatever? If you have something very specific, ask me, message me. I'm happy to help you. I have literally taught every grade from kindergarten to 12th grade. That is the truth. I have also taught every core academic subject, and I've also taught music and theater. So I'm not trying to toot my own horn at all. I'm just familiar with all of those things in almost every grade level. Now, I was primarily elementary, elementary and middle school. So those, don't ask me about algebra and geometry, because I'm not gonna be able to help you there. But I might be able to give you some good resources for those subjects, but I am not gonna be able to tutor anybody in geometry or algebra. I am not a math whiz. But elementary subjects I'm pretty good on. And of course, resources for anything, I can give you one. If I can't give you one, I can certainly find you one pretty quickly. I have a lot of places I can look and people that can help me. We have an amazing homeschool community where I am, and so I'd love to share the wealth of knowledge with you. So one thing I can say about curriculum is there is one totally 100% free curriculum online. It is all subjects, all grade levels. It's called Easy Peasy All in One, and I will link it down in the description box below. But if you really truly you want to homeschool, like legit homeschool, but you don't want to spend any money, that might be a good option for you. And then the main reason I'm making this video is to tell you about Gather Round Homeschool. Now, I mentioned it in my previous video, and I still have plans to do a full review video on Gather Round Homeschool, but I wanted to take a second again and share a little bit more about it with you guys, seeing that we've had these set of circumstances happen where a lot of you are home with kids who have been in traditional school, and now you're all home together and you're like, what am I gonna do? And I really think that this is the perfect solution. It is not free, but it is extremely affordable, and so I want to tell you about it and tell you why I think you should really look into purchasing a unit for your family. Okay, so I mentioned before, Gather Round is a curriculum. It's a new homeschool curriculum. It's rather new. So there's lots of homeschoolers that haven't even heard about it yet. I don't even remember how I found out about it. Probably YouTube. A YouTuber who is a homeschooling mama is actually who wrote this curriculum. Her name's Rebecca Spooner. And she was one of my favorite YouTubers prior to her creating this curriculum. I did a lot of research before we pulled the trigger on pulling the kids out of school and homeschooling to try to find, what I thought would be the perfect curriculum for us. And so I watched a lot of homeschooler YouTubers, and she, of course, was one of them. And so basically this curriculum is a little bit different from most because it's a unit study program. Excuse me, I can't talk. A unit study based curriculum. So I love that for a lot of reasons, but speaking about homeschooling kids that are not normally homeschooled, one of the reasons that I think that is so great is because you can buy one unit at a time. And the units are designed to either be used 4 days a week for 5 weeks. I think I'm saying this right, or 5 days a week for 4 weeks. But the other great thing about it, it's a really loud car. The other thing is that you can really make it last as long or take as long as you want, or do it as quickly as you want. So you know already how long your school has been canceled, but we are all being realistic, and we know that could change and it could be extended. So I think that theoretically you could buy one unit and you could extend it out, or you can end up buying another unit, a second unit, and you still wouldn't spend a whole lot of money. As far as your budget goes, it's very inexpensive. And my husband just got home from work, and Ford's excited. Anyway, so we just started our first unit. We've been doing other things in our curriculum, but I wanted to show you a little bit of it and why I think it's great for the households that are not normally homeschoolers but are looking for something to help keep them busy. The day can get really long when you're all piled up in the house together all day, day after day after day. And so what I love about this is it literally can take you, you could probably easily finish the day's assignment, the day's lesson in an hour, or you could draw it out for much, much longer than that. So that's another reason why I think it is great for you homeschooling families that are not really homeschooling families. But the way that it works, hold on, let me say hey to my husband. Okay, so the way that it works is there's lots of different units you can choose from. North big North American birds, oceans, Asia, Europe. I'm trying to think. Um, there's several. So the nice thing is you can just choose a topic that you think would interest you and your kids, and choose that one, because you don't necessarily have to go in order. But if you buy the unit digitally, it's a digital unit, so you can just print it out yourself at home, which is great, so you don't have to go anywhere and do anything, assuming you have a printer at home. Otherwise, there's a few online services where you can upload it online and they'll send you a hard copy back, or you can buy the hard copy from Gather Round itself, but it's more expensive if you do it that way, obviously. I chose to print mine at home. I am a little OCD. I bet you didn't know that. So I am choosing to do them in order, because what we're doing is before this pandemic ever started, I had made the decision to put everything else we were working on hold, and to trial a unit and see how we liked it and see what we thought, and see if I thought it would be enough for high school years, which are coming up for us. And so that was my plan before this pandemic. And so I had already purchased the North American Birds unit, and my plan is to finish. Hey bud, what's up? So my kids love this so much that Ford just came and asked me. I have the books with me to show you guys, and Ford, like I said, my husband just got home, and Ford my kids are loving this so much that Ford wants his book so he can show Daddy what we did today. That's how good this stuff is. Anyway, I don't know what's going on there. I think it's David and Ford. Anyway, sorry, ADD. So anyway, we chose North American Birds, and she is supposed to have a whole nother. So the idea is that if you're using it for a full year, there are 10 units in a year's worth of curriculum. So by the end of this year, she'll have 10 units out. They come out once a month, and then she has a whole nother 10 units coming out for next year. But since we're late to this party, I'm planning to use the first year that's already out, or mostly out, for our schooling next year, except for this first unit that I already purchased that we're starting now, because this is our trial unit. So I haven't 100% decided that this is what we're doing next year, but I'm really leaning towards it. But that's coming on my review video once we're all the way finished with this unit. So anyway, I'm chatty Cathy. I apologize. So it comes with your teacher's book. Now, again, I printed these at home, and then I just took them to Office Depot to have them spiral bound. It was like $15 for all of them. But so you get a teacher's guide, okay? So your teacher's guide has kind of all the information you need. It has a book list. So we went to the library and checked out a bunch of these books. You don't have, that's totally optional. I know a lot of libraries are closing, so that's totally optional. I also bought a few of these books so we could keep them and have them at home on Amazon. So that's an option. A lot of them are on Audible, so you could use Audible, or buy Kindle copies or something like that. But they're totally optional. You don't have to. You don't have to get the books that are listed, but it's a nice addition, and it'll also help you extend the lessons to last longer if you have some books and literature. But of course, if you have the internet, then you also have that you can use to extend. But anyway, so you can see the North American Birds unit. Every lesson is about a different bird, and we are total bird watching nerds here. Anyway, I'm trying to see if you can see back there. It's our hummingbird feeders. So we literally have bird feeders all over our yard. We always have, and my 5-year-old can probably name by sight more species of birds than most adults. That's for real, before we ever started this unit, because we're just bird watchers. My grandfather instilled a love for bird watching into my soul when I was little bitty girl, and so we're just bird watchers here. So we love to bird watch, and I think that was a hummingbird. Hummingbirds are supposed to arrive any day. I think that was one. Did you see that? Anyway, so we're bird watchers around here anyway, so we're really excited about this unit. But anyway, so basically the concept is you gather around homeschool, and there is a portion that you read for each lesson. You read to your kids, and then you can extend it as much as you want. Like, you can look for cool YouTube videos, you can look for documentaries, you can look for whatever you want, research online, listen to their call. You can go out in your backyard if it's a bird that's native to your area. If you're like us, we school at a table. We do most of our schooling at a table in a bay window, and one of our mini feeders is right outside our bay window, so we literally watch birds all day long while we're schooling anyway. But anyway, you read from the teacher's guide about whichever bird it is, or if it's another unit, oceans or Europe or Asia, you read about whatever country it is or about whatever animal it is, whatever. And then you move on to the levelized notebooks. So each kid has their own notebook, and they are levelized. So for us, we only use 2 of the levels, but if you buy the $50 digital bundle, you get all the levels. So if you have 1 kid or if you have 15 kids, you can print out as many as you need at whatever level you need for the same price of $50. So Ford is my early reader. He actually is supposed to be in K4 this year, but he's on a 1st grade level already. Not sure what I'm going to do with him in a few years, but so he is using the early reader version. And then I have 2 7th graders, and so they are using the middle school version. And so basically every lesson, they have essentially the same pages with the same activities, but they're levelized for their ability level. And so they dive deeper into the topic if they're an older child. So let me see if I can show you an example of that. Example of what I mean is in the first lesson, which is on the bald eagle, they have a social studies and language arts page in their notebook, and the middle school page, it's about the great seal. So they have the great seal here, and they have the example of it colored, and then they colored it. Okay, and it tells them, this is the middle school version, it tells them all about the great seal. And then it has them exploring the symbolism, the symbols and the symbolism behind what the things, the different components, like the olive branch and the arrows and the different components of the seal mean. Whereas the early reader, all they're doing is coloring, and there's a little paragraph that explains on an early reader's level some of the symbolism within the Great Seal. So that's an example of what I mean by they're doing and learning about the same thing, but they're learning about it at different depths, so to speak, depending on their level. I'll give you another example. Carl Linnaeus. We studied in today's lesson. We're only on lesson 2. We just started this. Today's lesson was about the ruby-throated hummingbird. And so one of the pages is a science and history and language arts focused page about Carl Linnaeus, who is essentially the father of taxonomy. This is the early reader version. So in the early reader version, there's a paragraph that you can read together. Ford couldn't read all of this by himself, but he could read a lot of it, so we read it together. And then there are questions where they have to choose the answer, and then there's a question where he can answer it, and he can either, if your child is able to write it themselves, they can, or they can dictate it to you and you can write it. And then the middle school version, they were supposed to research on their own and find out the answer to some of those similar questions. They didn't have the summary paragraph to find the answer. They had to go find the answer on their own. And then they also had to fill in the taxonomy names for the ruby-throated hummingbird, and that they also had to find out on their own and research for themselves. So that is a good example. There are 5 pages for the students to do per lesson. So like I said before, you could very easily finish it all very quickly in an hour, or you could stretch it out for as long as you wanted to. You could even stretch a lesson out, you know, more than one day if you wanted to really stretch your learning. Or you could do a lesson and skip a day and do another lesson. You know, like you could just do a lesson Monday and Wednesday, or whatever you think is best for your family, you know, based on how long you think you're really going to be out of school. Anyway, I cannot recommend this enough for both homeschoolers and non-homeschoolers that are now homeschooling. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Like I said, you don't have to buy a whole year's worth of curriculum. Most homeschooling curriculum, that's how it works. You have to buy a year, and that's just not feasible for you people who are suddenly finding yourselves temporary homeschoolers. But this is doable because you can just buy this one unit and you can have activities for your whole family, for all your kids, no matter what age they are. Like I said, it goes all the way from pre-reader, so your little ones, all the way up to your high school age kids. And my kids are loving it. Like, they don't complain when I say, hey, it's time to do gather round. They're excited. We have pictures of all the birds hanging up in our bay window that I was telling you about, that we school by, so we can look up there, and they're excited about the birds that are coming down the pipeline that we're going to be studying about. And I just think it's great. So I'll put the Gather Round website in the description box below, as well as the Easy Peasy that I told you about. Also, please find me on Instagram and or on Facebook. I'm in both of those places, and I'm really trying to diligently post every day something else, some other resource for you to use as you're finding yourself schooling, or even not schooling, but just being home together. Fun things for you to do that are also educational, but that you will all enjoy doing together. So like I said before, if you have any specific questions, comment below, message me. I'm happy to help you in any way I can. I'm not good at a whole lot, but an educator is who I am, and I feel confident about my knowledge in that area, and I feel confident that Ford wants his book. Ford! I feel confident that, here you go, bud.
Okay.
I feel confident. Go show Daddy. I feel confident that I can help you if you need it. So please, please feel free to comment or message me. It is a black cap chickadee, you're right. I'm telling you, your kids are gonna love it. Do it. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. Both of those things really help my family and help my channel, which in turn helps my family. So thanks for stopping by today. Don't freak out. If you're freaking out, don't freak out. Be grateful for this time, for your family to slow down and spend some time together and do some really cool, fun stuff. I'm telling you, there is a never-ending list of really fun, cool stuff you can do together. I promise. I will try to, I'm not going to promise that I'll get more than my usual Friday videos up, but I will try to get some more content up on my channel, my YouTube channel as well. But I will definitely be posting on Instagram and Facebook every day with ideas, so check those out, and go ahead and follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. I hope to share lots of ideas with you there, and like I said, don't panic. You got this, mamas and daddies, promise.